First of all, let me thank the organizers for inviting me here. Tata Memorial Hospital is a government hospital. You have heard a lot of bad things about the government hospitals when Dr. Shingare was speaking, but Tata Hospital is a government hospital. It comes under Department of Atomic Energy, and in front of you is standing a Sarkari Karmachari. Okay, so everything is not bad, and we are the symbol that yes, hope is there everywhere, and when it comes to cancer, we sell hope in Tata Hospital. Being a government hospital, 70% of our patients are completely free. Can I have the slides, please? 70% of our patients are free. Free means that they don't pay anything to the hospital, but somebody pays, and it is the government who pays for those people who can't pay. Now, fortunately, government can pay for the treatment, but what happens to their stay when they are in Mumbai? Sometimes for cancer treatment, you have to stay in Mumbai for maybe 6 months for a blood cancer treatment. And that is the time when they end up not getting a place to stay because real estate prices are so high, all the dharmshalas are flooded, they have to stay on footpath, railway stations, and that is what happens to poor people who cannot stay. Now, this disastrous scene that we see every day when I visit Tata Hospital, or any of you who pass the streets of Ernest Borges Road or through that road. Now, the question is that yes, there was a time when cancer used to be an unusual disease, but if I ask a raise of hands, most of you will say that some of your members of the family did have cancer, or some relatives had cancer, and now you are seeing as if it's an epidemic and you are having more and more cancer, or you are hearing more and more of cancer. Especially when you go to cinema halls, you see those graphic ads that we gave to the government of India on behalf of Tata Hospital that is run. Then on television there are shown those spots for cancer awareness. So cancer awareness is increasing, and perhaps the numbers are increasing, and they are becoming more and more visible, and people are getting afraid. Nowadays those executive health checkups, which used to be initially for the cardiac problem, that can I have the heart disease, can I have the hypertension and diabetes, so lay people's people who are otherwise asymptomatic, they used to go to those executive checkups. Now more and more patients go with the fear, can I have cancer and can I get a checkup where cancer can be detected and I can be saved? So that fear is there. Now in next 15 minutes my aim is to tell you that cancer is not as bad as most of us sitting here or sitting outside this hall are afraid about. Let me give you an example. The commonest cancer is the mouth cancer. If somebody comes with an early mouth cancer or early cervix cancer, the treatment time taken is not more than 1 hour, and the person is cured forever. If somebody is diagnosed with tuberculosis, he has to take 9 months of treatment. And he has to take those drugs every day, and there are toxicities of those drugs, and sometimes you develop multi-drug resistance, which is worse than having tuberculosis, which is garden variety. Now tell me, which is worse, tuberculosis or getting an early stage cancer? Obviously cancer. Now what makes cancer bad is the perception. What makes cancer bad is the fear that comes because of myths in the society, not the cancer as such. So cancer becomes more of a black hole where you just get lost. And this loss is because of lack of information, not because cancer is bad. At the same time, what kills people is the advanced stage cancer, which emanates from lack of awareness, which comes from the fear of going to the doctors, for the fear that, okay, if I go to doctor with this symptom, if cancer is detected, what will happen to me? Now this fear has to go out, and then only early detection will happen. Then only the women will go to the doctor, get themselves detected, get their pap smear, get their mammography. The men will go and they will get detected for cancers which can be screened. So my role today is to make you understand that we are responsible for 2/3 of the cancers which we are fearing. This is a paradox, this is an oxymoron, that we are afraid of something which is which is an act of complete our failure. And how we can correct that? Now the first thing that I have to talk about, that yes, we have 30 lakh people with cancer living in this country at this point, and around 10 lakh new cancers are added every year. Now if you look at the bottom thing, that 80% of the Indians, they consult the doctors in advanced stage, and most of the people who suffer from cancer and eventually die because of the advanced disease, they are in the middle ages, and this is completely different from what happens in the West, where cancer is a disease of elderly. Here, the cancer is a disease of the middle-aged people, so when you lose somebody from cancer, you lose an able-bodied citizen of India. Similarly, most patients die in India within 12 months of diagnosis, and almost 2/3 are because of the lifestyle. Unfortunately, a huge number of these cancers, they happen to the minors, which is something unknown, something which is very strange for people abroad. Now, how do I say that it's a lifestyle-related cancer? If cancer was not lifestyle-related, you will have similar cancer, similar pattern all over India. Say, for example, in Mumbai, South Mumbai cancer is not different from North Mumbai or western part or the eastern part. But in India, you have the huge geographical variation, and this geographical variation has cultural diversity. It has got certain traditions, beliefs, practices, which leads to hugely different types of cancer. The Gangetic belt, you have gallbladder cancer, which is literally unknown in South India. You have very high esophageal cancer in Jammu Kashmir, in Northeast, which is literally very uncommon in certain parts of India. So this geographical variation leading to a different pattern of cancer shows that how it is different all over. Now this is the situation. Cancer has almost doubled from 1990 to 2013. And the mouth cancer is the #1 cause of cancer-related death and cancer in the Indian men, followed by lung cancer. Do I need to tell you what causes mouth cancer and lung cancer? Everybody knows. Everybody sitting in the hall knows that what causes the 2 lead killers of Indian men. And in women, it is the breast cancer and the cervix cancer. We will talk about it. The cancer incidence is going to rise. And this rise is not because of only, absolute number of people is increasing, because of lifestyle is becoming more and more Western. We are living longer. So living longer with a Western lifestyle is the main culprit which will lead to higher incidence of cancer in days to come. Dr. Shingare was talking that how we have shortage of doctors. There is no amount of input in next 15 years that can tackle the burden of cancer, because we need trained manpower, which is impossible. Even if we start training double the doctors from days to come, nothing will happen. And look at the investment. The investment is also so low in terms of the GDP. So investment is low, unlikely to improve. Number of doctors, unlikely to be better. And therefore, what really leaves us with that we all have to do efforts as doctors, as civil society, to avoid cancer, to prevent cancer. In 1970, Nixon launched a war on cancer, that in 30 years, in 2000, we will win the war on cancer. We are nowhere near that. Now, if I have to tell you in nutshell, in very brief, that how we can win the war on cancer, and not only cancer, but non-communicable disease. See, you must understand that 20 years back, people used to die of cholera, people used to die of malaria and infectious diseases. Now the things have changed. We have conquered the infectious diseases, which used to be called communicable disease, but now we are having the burden of non-communicable disease. These non-communicable diseases, they are diabetes, cardiovascular, hypertension, cancer, and chronic obstructive obstructive pulmonary disease, those lung diseases. Now, these 4 diseases, they are causing 63% of the deaths in the current society, and therefore, the emphasis currently is not the communicable disease, but the non-communicable disease, and that is why in 2011, for the first time in the history of United Nations had to call a meeting for tackling the non-communicable diseases. And when United Nations calls a meeting of their more than 175 nations, you can imagine the gravity of the problem. The world is suffering not because of the health care, because of the non-communicable disease and people dying. The world leaders are worried because almost 10% of the GDP is getting affected by the non-communicable disease. That means the governments are waking up because deaths because of non-communicable disease, they have become the financial issue, not the health issue. And that is why they came together, they discussed about the tackling of the non-communicable disease. And how do we tackle? These are the evidence-based strategy for tackling the non-communicable disease, which includes cancer. And this is the holistic approach. First is the tobacco use. It's not a rocket science, everybody knows. And if you look at the cost effectiveness, what will happen if there is a control of tobacco, you can see that. Dietary salt. Do you need some kind of, expensive technology to change the pattern like CT scan or some expensive machine for checkup? No, you just need to reduce your dietary salt. And that tackles all the non-communicable disease, including cancer. Obesity. A lot of people, they love to have their children little bit of roly-poly and, obese, and they love that. They believe that that is a sign of a good father and mother. What we don't realize that by inculcating the habit of the junk food, childhood obesity is linked with many future non-communicable disease. And therefore, unless we train our children about the healthy eating habit and we don't follow in our own personal life those vada pavs and samosas and bhajiyas and all that, obesity, particularly truncal obesity, is responsible for not only hypertension and diabetes but also cancer. We'll be talking about it. Alcohol intake. Somebody said, the previous speaker, whenever we talk of alcohol in a medical community, people feel that it's a very moralistic approach. Not at all. 30 years back, I remember in the medical conferences, doctors used to smoke. Doctors used to smoke in hospital. But now it is looked down upon. Now doctors cannot do a socially downbeat activity. Alcohol intake is one of them. And this is not my personal opinion. This is not some religious practice or this is not some political agenda. This is the UN agenda described by the United Nations based on the evidence. And this United Nations treaty is adopted by the government of India, and therefore government of India is committed to alcohol control. And who should be the leader in this government of India's effort? Doctors. Doctors have to practice what they preach, and we must tell our patients. And one thing again, people say that alcohol has got a safe level. Completely false. If you search Google, don't trust me, there is no safe level of alcohol. That 2 to 3 pegs a day and 6 pegs a week and all that, it reduces the risk of disease. It does not eliminate the risk of disease. The choice is yours, whether you want to reduce the risk of cirrhosis or you want to eliminate the risk of cirrhosis. And that is what people have to understand, that unless doctors start counseling the patients like they are doing for tobacco these days, we will not win the war on cancer or non-communicable disease. And exercise. Exercise is something so simple. Healthy lifestyle does not only mean that you have to go for gym every time. Healthy lifestyle means that what you work every day in your life, make it in a way that it is healthy. Now, moving on to cancer. Look at this carefully. We have cancers, 25% of them we don't know why they happen. But 75%, we know how it happens. 10% is because of lack of personal hygiene. Now, cervix cancer, if you ask me, if I was made a policy maker and I have to tackle cervical cancer, if I have to give a prescription, I would say that every woman should have access to private toilet. That is how you are going to win the war on cervix cancer, which is the leading cause of cancer-related death in rural women. In urban area, it is the breast cancer. In rural area, it is the cervix cancer. Now, how can you imagine a woman will take care of her personal hygiene, about the genital hygiene, when all her life she has taken bath with clothes on? She goes for, daily, needs to a field. There again, she can't have a personal hygiene. We talk of breast self-examination. Women in the rural area may not have access to the privacy where they can do the breast self-examination. So this Swachh Bharat I support, and let me tell you, if someone asks me, one thing that can really change the pattern of the communicable diseases, like infectious diseases which are foodborne and soil-borne and waterborne because of the unhealthy defecation practices, and non-communicable disease like cervix cancer, Swachh Bharat, where every woman can have access to the private toilet. Not a rocket science. Similarly, if the women can curb the obesity, if they can quit alcohol, smoking, which is very on the rise in the urban area, because they want to be equal to the men and therefore they have to smoke and they drink, they have to tackle that. Tobacco, we know that it is a killer, I need not tell. But pan masala, Ajay Devgan, Shah Rukh Khan, Saif Ali Khan, Priyanka Chopra, Akshay Kumar, everybody is advertising directly or indirectly pan masala. Who is going to tell them? Just go on the Google and find that pan masala is a group 1 carcinogen. And they are advertising it. Similarly, people are worried. People don't get their children married in the families where somebody is having cancer. People feel that cancer is a genetic disease. Not at all. Very rarely some cancers are genetic, most of them are not. And last I'm coming to obesity, and then I'll come to the diet because I have only can I have 1 minute? Okay. Now obesity is something that is a typical problem of urbanization. We feel that going out and having McDonald's and having pizzas and having fast food is something that makes our family very proud. These days, whenever you want to take your children on a Sunday or Saturday evening, the only place you can go is a mall or a restaurant. And what happens? The children grow up with a feeling that eating Saturday, Sunday out is a culture and we must follow it. And what has this led to? That we are having more and more obesity in the urban area, while in the rural area, we are having dietary deficiency. So India is really 2 states. In one aspect, we are having dietary deficiency. In Palghar, children are dying of malnutrition, and in Mumbai, South Mumbai, people are dying of hypertension and diabetes. And since the numbers are staggering both places, the number of deaths are also there. So we have to understand that the eating habit of our children is being decided by the television. Those biscuits and the chocolates and everything. We have to do something for that. And dietary deficiency, we are what we eat. All the antioxidants, vitamins that doctors are prescribing and you are taking religiously for health care, they are there in your vegetables and fruits, in your cereals, in your grains. But we don't trust them. We want to take supplements. Expensive supplements are being sold. So in nutshell, I want to tell you that look at this graph carefully and see that 2/3 of the cancers, almost 75% of the cancers, we are responsible for it. And we have to find our solution. Don't expect governments to do everything. Government does not come and give pizzas in our hand. Government does not come and open a gutka pouch and put in our mouth. Government does not come and say that, you should not get up morning 6 o'clock and exercise. It's we who do it, and we can change, and I want doctors to promote this healthy lifestyle in every encounter that you have with the patients. Thank you so much.